stop doing this and do this instead. This is for your sakes. Okay, so this is the counsel given in tonight's chapter, which is Doctrine and Covenants 37. We have a very, 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 very quick 4 verses, which, if we're being honest, if we were to just read this on our own, just to pick a random chapter and read, would we get much out of it? I don't know. But we're going to read it in a way that you are going to get something out of these very quick 4 verses. Now, I'm not going to get too much into history and context, simply because we're going to get into it in a better way these next few chapters. So we're just going to leave that to come. So what are we going to get out of these seemingly fine 4 chapters? I mean, they're fine. I'll show you. Let's do it. Because there is absolutely something for you in all of the chapters. How can we see that? How can we get there? I don't know. Let's do it. Okay, section 37, Doctrine and Covenants. We are with Joseph and we are with Sidney Rigdon. And they are, let's just read it first. Let's just read it. Okay. Behold, I say unto you that it is not expedient in me that you should translate any more until you shall go to Ohio. And this because of the enemy and for your sake. So what are they translating if they already have the Book of Mormon? Well, they are translating the Bible. They're doing the New Translation, or as we call it, the Joseph Smith translation. But they called it the New Translation. So God is telling them to stop. Don't do that anymore. And now they're bringing up Ohio, and he's saying, do this for your sakes. Moving on. We'll come back. Okay. And again, I say unto you that ye shall not go until you have preached my gospel in those parts, and have strengthened up the church whithersoever it is found, and more especially in Colesville, for, behold, they pray unto me in much faith. And again, a commandment I give unto you, that it is expedient in me that you should assemble together at the Ohio, against the time that my servant Oliver Cowdery should return unto them. Behold, here is wisdom. Let every man choose for himself until I come, even so, amen. So what is happening, before I talk about you, what is happening with them? Well, things in New York, like the persecution and the opposition in New York, is almost unbearable. Now, what we have read so many different times together is that Ohio is a happening place. Almost all of the converts that we've heard of the past several nights are coming from Ohio. Now we're up into like the 300s currently. We have like 300 recent converts in Ohio. So they are being counseled to stop what you're doing. Colesville is in New York. So they're saying, go help the saints get things together in this part of New York, because then we're all gonna go to Ohio. Now, Ohio is growing rapidly. New York is facing increased opposition, threats, really. So that's what they're doing. That's what this chapter is about. It's saying, don't do this, let's do that. Here's where we're going. Here's what's coming up next. Now, if we use that same template to your life, is that template, or could there be a template just like that fits in with your life right now? Could God, or is God trying to tell you maybe, hey, can we maybe do something different? Maybe let's just come back to that. These are phrases that potentially could be fitting for you in your life right now. Is God, or could God be telling you, hey, let's take a break on that for a second and revisit it, and let's focus on this for a hot minute, for my own purpose, for your sake? Can we do something differently? Can we go somewhere different? Can our focuses be on something different? How do we know if God is telling us something like that? Well, is there a reoccurring idea that we may have been putting off for several reasons? I don't know. Is he whispering something to you now? I don't know. Is something popping into your mind? I don't know. Something to think about. We're going to come back to Ohio because, like I said, we have a lot to come to cover. There's a lot of stuff happening in Ohio, but essentially, I mean, there are going to be great, devastating sacrifices that come with telling the elect, the saints, to leave, to move, leave behind everything. But what they don't know is that there's going to be a temple. What they don't know is that with that devastating sacrifice and restarting and rebuilding comes life-saving ordinances that have everlasting blessings and effect. Could God potentially be setting us up for what seems to be a sacrifice now, but for something that has such a bigger, greater blessing for us? I don't know. Maybe. Why don't you ask him? Also, if you were to look at my few markings on these two, like I said, if you want these scriptures to be about you, which you do, I mark my scriptures not based on context and history, but I marked them as if I were to randomly open up to them and glance down. I would want it to give me personally something. So the way that I marked them is, here's what I underlined. Those little, that's it. So if I were to glance down, hello, are you okay? Did you survive that fall? I underlined for your sakes, pray unto me in much faith, here is wisdom, let every man choose for himself until I come. Now, before we sign off and think that we got everything that we could have out of this, let's just maybe think about agency for a hot minute. Because to me, that's mostly what I get out of this. Here is wisdom. God is saying, counsel to us like he often does, whether we listen or catch it is different. But he is often counseling us. He is giving us that wisdom, but as always, it is up to us to choose to heed or listen or seek out and then follow through with it. Why? If we think about the third of the people, the third of the spirits that did not come to earth, already proves that agency was important and in effect before we even came to this earth, because he did not force us into choosing him. The fact that we did not do the adversary's plan is because the ability to choose for ourselves is the most important thing for this whole entire plan. What? I'm not even going to answer this. What in the choosing is most important to God? I don't know. I feel like you probably just came up with 10 or more answers to that. Here is wisdom. Let every man choose for himself, even until I come. Why? Because even before we came here, the ability to choose is what is most important to God for us. Why is it the most important thing for us to be here to choose? I mean, shoot. He won't even force us into choosing him. That's how important the choice is to him for us. Why do you think? What is in the deciding for ourselves? The power to make choices. And where could that lead? What could we receive? Who can we become? Who do we build into? What do we learn? All of these things in the power to choose that is most important to him. Just some thoughts. If you, like I said, if you want this chapter to be about you, my brain goes to agency, and you can ask yourselves lots of questions if you want to do that with yourself tonight. What are you guys doing tonight? You bored? I'm sore. My shoulders hurt. Anyways, thanks for joining me. Happy Saturday. That's it. That's all I got. You guys are great. I feel like I should say something else. What else should I say? I don't know.